yet, but let's go ahead. We'll get right into the pick and ban here for game one and see what they're going to offer up to us. First ban going over to SBENU.
Yeah, Sol, typically this season has been more of a tank player. A couple games of Rise, but for the most part, when we did see him, it was a lot of Echo, Maokai, Trundle.
Well, no shocks there. First ban just going to be the Varus, not giving much away here. And Lee Sin to fire back from ESC. So just getting rid of those really comfortable pocket picks on either side. And now we'll get into the meta stuff. The Gangplank going to be taken away first and foremost here.
Yeah, I think that's smart. GB definitely more of a pick for Crazy than it is for Sol. And of course the Varus against Temps. We saw that consistently throughout the regular season. Take away the Varus. Temps, probably his best champion. So see what we're going to have here. The Gnar is going to be banned. Sol only has one Gnar game on the season so far, but power of that pick currently, it's not too surprising. Trying to set up most likely for an Echo pick here. SBENU will not be first picking Talia. So
get rid of that one.
No standard junglers banned. SBENU could be setting up here for an early Rek'Sai to take it away from Ares.
I mean, we could see the Rek'Sai, but we could also see Nidalee, which is something that Flawless played a lot in spring. It's something he's been playing a good deal of when he can get his hands on it in Challenger. And Tahm Kench is the final ban, so they very well could just snatch up this Nidalee as a first pick.
Yeah, Tahm Kench is interesting. It's certainly something Lehen's used in 3 out of 4 games of the finals.
And it will be the Nidalee.
But keep in mind that they did lose 2 of those games. So the Nidalee will be the first pick, as you say, and I thought we for sure would see that ban. But there is going to be a little bit of power going over to the side of ESC.
That's managed to slip through the cracks a couple times, but now Vladimir available. Could see this one coming in for Tempt in the mid lane. Be comfortable on that pick, and again, it's a bit of a takeaway from Sassen, who's been playing that a hell of a lot. But something like the Malzahar also available that he could go back to. They'll lock that in, and now it's going to be the Jhin for Loken. Last time we saw Loken play, really, got that double MVP from playing Jhin, had a really wonderful performance in overall a really rough split.
Yeah, I don't think you pick the Jhin there, though. I think you take the Echo, just because it is more of a power pick, and Nuclear has played some Jhin, but he's really emphasized Ashe and Sivir for the most part. So I think you can probably just save that pick for a little bit later in the draft. But it is, of course, Loken's probably best champion so far this season. Sassen, maybe taking a look at the new Rise.
Yeah, you never really know where this guy's going to go. Malzahar, one of his more recent, most played champions. But
Poppy.
They're actually going to go back to this Poppy.
Poppy did receive a few minor buffs recently. But I'm a bit surprised to see the Poppy locked in so soon. Now, again, I am not going to assume that this is not, in fact, a support Poppy because of the way Lehen's is.
That would, that's true. And I mean, the Trundle has been a big pick for Sol as well. I don't think he has many Poppy games throughout the Challenger series, so could just have that flex coming in for Lehen's.
Yeah.
So going to keep it a little bit obscure on the side of SBENU. But you mentioned the Rek'Sai. Available here for Ares. Looks like they might just go right over to that one. And potentially the Bard as well for Key, who's had some mixed success with this champion.
He either looks amazing or he feeds a bunch. That's basically the two sides of Key right there. He has had trouble maintaining composure in the booth at times. But no surprise on the Rek'Sai. That's the bread and butter of Ares throughout most of his career. And especially in the Challenger scene. And at IEM, where we saw him in the spring.
Now back over to SBENU, looking for that mid lane and the 80 carry. We'll see what Sassen wants to bring to the table this time around.
So it will be Karma, mid lane Karma here, and probably a support Trundle. But again, I'm not going to assume that it's not a support Poppy.
We'll have to wait until the clock runs down a bit.
Lehen's champion pool. And the more recent buffs to Poppy's ranged auto attacks, so you have a little bit more harass in lane. But probably support Trundle here. And
it's a long hold over top of this Darius.
Yeah, this is tough though, because Crazy doesn't actually technically know what the matchup is. He has switched over to Ghost, and he may be going for a Singed here. We have seen Singed in China.
Yeah, Looper playing that one. And getting a quadra kill on the Singed.
Yeah, usually you play it into a Shen matchup, though.
Well, really thinking about this one, but speaking of Shen, still available, could just be locked in here for Crazy. Definitely something he's played a lot more than the Singed, I would guess. So it looks like this will just go ahead and be the matchup. Take this one in blind.
He really wanted the Singe, though. You can tell because he did have the Ghost already switched over. So that, not exactly what he was looking for, but if he isn't 100% confident in that top lane matchup, the Shen will be able to just farm and stay pretty even with Poppy here.
Yeah, it's just going to be a big wet noodle fight up in that top lane. Not a whole lot of kills going to be coming out unless Flawless can make something happen early, and that's what we're going to be looking for him to do with this Nidalee pick coming in. Needs to be able to apply the pressure, get the lanes ahead as quickly as possible. And decent CC on all of the lanes, the tether for the Karma, stun into the wall for the Poppy, as well as the slows and the from the volley and the pillar in the bottom lane. So there's a lot of opportunities for him to be able to get in and have those effective ganks.
Yeah, Flawless, it's about getting him ahead early. SBENU as a whole has chosen pretty good pick composition, and they've also got a lot of poke and zoning tools as well with the Trundle. The Ashe, limited mobility, but should still be able to get auto attacks on turrets when you combine the poke from the Nidalee and the Karma with the Trundle pillar ability to move people away from turrets. So pretty nice siege here for SBENU, pretty nice pick potential, and certainly, as you say, a great early game for Flawless. He's got a lot of ganking options in the lanes. On the other side, we do have ESC. They're looking for some late game team fighting. Low early game wave clear, though, and that's a bit of a worry with the early game power of champions like Karma. So ESC need to make sure that they don't group.
All right, well, let's go ahead, get right into game one here. ESC, their LCK spot on the line as they take on SBENU Sonic Boom. All right, welcome to Summoner's Rift. It's going to be a Cloud Drake to start us off. Take a little photo tour. The fans coming out here from both sides. SBENU going to have to do some rebuilding as far as their fan base goes if they make it back into the LCK. But ESC now going to be trying to hold on desperately for dear life and maintain their spot.
Yeah, this game's going to be all about Flawless, really, and what he can do in the early game. So many opportunities to gank these lanes, and he's got to make something work. A little bit hard, of course, in the mid with Vladimir with 2 mobility summoners. And the pool.
Right now, looks like it's going to have everybody sitting back in the jungle. No forward pressure being applied by either side. Neither team wanting to take the risk to face check into the jungle. So some decent ward coverage up in this top side by SBENU. So would spot out ESC if they decided to move in for any deep vision. Not going to be able to obtain that. Looks like it's just going to be the Krug start coming in for SBENU. He and Loken now running in a little bit late. They're just going to walk up to the wave. Not going to be able to actually push them off these Krugs. So.
That's really sloppy by ESC. On red side right now, when you know there's going to be standard lanes, you really do have to invade as the duo, because basically they're going to take the small Krug, and you're not going to be able to get the big drop necessarily if they invade. So I think the best strategy typically is just to go ahead and invade early to prevent them from getting even the small Krug. That way you can minimize your disadvantage. Instead they get both Krugs. This causes Loken and Key to have to fall back after the wave to go get the Grump. So not a great start for ESC bot lane, especially when they wanted to use their range advantage to really harass early.
Yeah, just questionable approach to try to get in there, walking straight through the lane, taking minion damage. So SBENU going to be benefiting from that. The early level 2 coming in for both of these members. But the Trundle level 2 not going to be that threatening, so don't have to worry about a whole lot on the side of ESC. Just need to start catching up in CS and try to get Loken to those big item spikes as quickly as possible. The Yomu is going to be the first item that he's likely going to be trying to pick up, unless he wants to move into something like the Essence Reaver build, which we've seen us a couple times here and there, but it's really just been that dominating armor pit build for the most part.
Yeah, I think you're going to have enough late game power with the Vlad, too, that you don't need to go for a late game build on Jhin, especially when you need to poke them off to prevent them, SBENU, from really sieging up in the mid game, which does play to a lot of their strengths. Longer this game goes on, SBENU doesn't have a lot of late game damage with this composition. Ashe, Nidalee, and Karma not going to be doing it for you, really. They're very reliant on pick and poke. So ESC, just a matter of outlasting them and making sure they don't lose any turrets early. We're going to see a pop over the wall here from Flawless.
Going to be moving in. We'll be able to take away these Krugs. Ares is on the roam up. He's already cleared out the rest of the jungle camp, so he'll be making a beeline over to this side. So might just arrive in time to potentially have a counter gank, but with Crazy pushed up into the tower, it looks like Flawless is going to go ahead and back off. And we have a pause.
Oh boy.
All right, it begins.
Does indeed, Achilles. How many pauses will we have today? 3 best of 3s?
I'm hoping for as few as possible, but we'll figure out what's going on. Looks like we have an issue in the SBENU booth. So, try to get this one squared away. Worst case, it's okay. Worst case scenario, we'll just reschedule to Tuesday. At least it's only, it's only a one-day break.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
But, yeah, looks like just having a slight little problem, so we'll get that one taken care of. But overall, just 4 minutes in, not a whole lot happening. That slight botch by ESC in the bottom lane, but they're not suffering too heavily. It's just going to be 4 CS behind for Loken. So.
Yeah, but they really wanted to get that bullying done in the early parts of the game, so that's why it was a bit sloppy.
Yeah.
Coming in, but
it's just an odd choice of pathing to go that way instead of up through the.
I mean, it was basically the worst possible choice, right? Because if they just went Gromp, they would have equalized on the minion camps. But again, that's the delayed invade where they get both Krugs anyways. That's the worst thing that could happen. Except you dying right there, basically, which is, of course, very unlikely. So you either commit to an invade right at the jungle minion spawn and try and harass them, which you absolutely can do on Bard and Jhin. Bard with that Thunderlords gets it a pretty easy proc and some nice early chip damage onto champions, but just not playing it very well, unfortunately. But again, not the biggest mistake in the world. Obviously not game-breaking.
Yeah. Well, I can't even tell which booth the issue is deriving from. But I don't know. Looks like it might be something here on the side of ESC. Not too certain, though.
No, I can't really tell who's having the problems. We don't see any of our refs or tech people.
Well, it looks like the clock is ticking down now, so we might be getting back into the game. Looks like things might be okay, unless we have another pause coming out. So looks like we may just be getting right back into it. Could have just been a very slight issue, maybe a setting that had to be changed up, but everything should be getting squared away here.
Yep, everything going fine. Jungler's back in. Ares is seen at the Krug camp with the ward placed there not a minute ago by Flawless.
So good vision for him. Just going to keep tabs on that Rek'Sai as much as humanly possible. And as expected, it's been pretty stagnant up here in the top lane. Soul falling a little bit behind Crazy in the CS. Has already expended all of those Corrupting Potion charges. And Crazy will have the upper hand when it comes down to sustainability in this top lane. So going for a bit of a trade. But overall, wet noodle fight through and through.
And people may be wondering why Poppy, because we've seen some Poppy picks ever since the buffs came through. It hasn't looked spectacular, but Poppy is still very good at creating picks or disengaging. In spite of all her troubles, as long as you can pick up some farm and lane, really Poppy will synergize very nicely. It will deny the engage from ESC while they're sieging. And it provides an initial crowd control for Nidalee to gap close. It's certainly not the biggest power pick, obviously, in the current meta, but it is by no means awful, especially in the composition that SBENU has assembled.
We'll see how it's going to impact, though. Of course, the changes a while ago to the duration of that teleport channel. It's going to hurt Poppy's ability to impact the map, whereas Crazy can just use the Stand United when available and have that much more immediate help and give that assistance over to his team with a shield. So we'll see if Seoul can really set up for the big plays, try to get those nice flanks in.
Okay, so TP's used early. Crazy approaching level 6, so he will actually have a global up. And with Sassen's teleport already down, this may give ESC a chance to make a play to stand united as Crazy hits 6 right now.
Yeah, just the Cloud Drake, so still going to be a good pickup, but not necessarily going to be the highest priority dragon that could have spawned. So might not see that one come into contention for a while. I mean, even in the finals with, you know, a lot of Mountain Drakes being spawned up as first. I think we had 3 Mountain Drakes, 1 Ocean, 1 Cloud as the starting dragons, and most of them didn't really get touched until about the 16-minute mark or so, give or take a couple minutes there. So this one could just be sitting there for a while. So we see a TP play coming through, or roam play with Temp. Probably not going to be for much of an objective, just going to be looking for that first blood. Probably the bottom lane.
Let's see where the targets is. Key taking a little bit of a wander for Chimes. Flawless is seen over at the Raptor pit, so Ward's going back in. Nice deports actually by Key as he uses the recall and his knowledge of Italy's location. They are doing a good job keeping eyes on Flawless in the early game.
Yeah, he's got that bottom side covered pretty well, but same goes for Flawless, who got some deep wards up into the top side of ESC's jungle. So he'll be able to spot out Ares in a second here. Crazy going back in for the trades, laying down the damage onto Soul. Gonna push him back off, but Soul going pretty low in that Poppy. Has the Bombing Cinder to help dish out a little bit of extra damage, but he's taking that in return from Crazies. And again, has already used all of his charges of that potion.
Yeah, Ares fading into the Scuttle Crab right there. He's going to be seeing Crazy does have to play this a bit cautiously.
Flawless coming in, throws the Javelin. Crazy's going to be able to use the Shadow Dash to get away. He'll keep himself safe. So far, Flawless, 8 minutes in, hasn't really been able to impact any of the lanes. That was his first attempt at a gang.
Ares does have to be careful there. He does know that Italy's still on the top side of the map, but out the mid laner can get in trouble. But he also had the ward coverage to make sure there wasn't going to be a support roaming up through the jungle and harassing him into the river. Ares actually going to come in here and try and take a crack at the red buff. Oh, didn't see it.
Yeah, didn't see it, but he actually got it in the end, I believe, there. Unless that was his red buff. That's his red buff. Okay.
That was his red buff.
Like, blinked for a second and I lost it.
That's what happens sometimes.
I was like, did he really? Okay. So Flawless has it. He'll get the Krugs. And now Ares can move over that blue box. He can take that for himself. Not really necessary, but it's either him or the Vladimir, so he says, screw it, you know what, I'll have those shorter cooldowns. Pick that up, and Loken's actually been able to transition this into a bit of a CS lead for himself. Little wave here for Nuclear, so he'll be just a couple behind once he clears that out. Loken doing well to kind of crawl his way back into this lane. Already has a serrated Dirk, and those Boots of Swiftness completed for him. So he's going to be that much more slippery once he's able to juke out those Ash Arrows and get away from those Trundle Pillars even faster.
Yeah, a bit of a gold lead here coming through for SBENU also.
Yeah, about 700.
Interesting to see that.
Too crazy. Sassen walking forward, gonna get popped up. Temps on the roam. As long as Ghost available if he wants to try to close that gap. Sassen gets the tether, will put a little bit of damage in onto that Rek'Sai. But can't find anything even with Nuclear Flawless waiting in the wings.
Yeah, Sassen walked into a pink warded brush, and so that's why Ares didn't follow right there. Didn't want to go any closer because he knows if Sassen is standing there firing into a pink warded brush that Flawless is almost certainly around. And that's a 2v2 that probably wouldn't go too well for ESC in the early stages of this game. Ares already has his Tiamat picked up. Tempt has been itemizing for defense, of course, with Spectre's Cowl into the early game power of the Karma.
See, nice little deep invade coming through. There's really spotted out. They'll move forward, get some wards down. Heads coming through, doesn't see Key. He's gonna get stunned into the wall. Pop up coming through from Ares. He's gonna flash away, get himself out to safety. Summoner spell down now for the Trundle. And that'll be the Raptors taken away. So good little deep invade there by ESC. Get them a little bit of profit, but overall they're still sitting a couple hundred gold behind. Going to be looking for that first blood either on the kill or the tower.
Yeah, mistake by Lehens there. You can't walk into the jungle to try and ward when bot lane and mid lane are pushed up. You have no idea where the jungler is, and the support is not showing.
You also just check the brush with your pillar.
That's also true. But yeah, you just not even walking in there is probably the best plan. And in any case, that is good timing for Ares and Key to go on a deep warding mission together.
Flawless getting spotted out yet again by that ward in the Krugs. So he is just being kept track of by ESC. And while they haven't been able to find themselves a kill or much of an advantage in any of the lanes, they haven't died yet. And that's good news going up against the Nidalee.
There really haven't even been any ganks. It's been good vision control for the most part. Pretty tempered play from Crazy in the top side, not giving Flawless any opportunities. And now there's a confused Rift Herald.
Yeah. Body blocking the spear. But, yep, it is the good old scaling game for ESC. So they're going to be perfectly fine to not get into too many engagements. Flawless clearing out the tunnel. He'll get spotted. Attempt to set the lead. Fine. So how was your final, Monty?
It was
Mine
great.
was great. I was just sitting in the audience.
You're chilling, watching those very exciting games.
Yelling a lot. Had to rest my voice pretty much all of yesterday. So.
It was a pretty exciting final. Crowd was really into it.
It was good.
I feel bad for Score, though. Longest running player,
Yeah.
still never won. At least Mad Life has won in CLGU. It was a long time ago, 2012, but has lifted the trophy. Score's won IEM, though, so at least he's got that.
Well, what would you rather have? Would you rather have won a championship and then be in relegations, or made it to the final several times and never won?
He's made it to the finals twice. He did win IEM Katowice
Okay.
in 2014.
That's something.
That's right, with Ryu and Duke, actually, when he was back known as Leopard. So he has at least a trophy to his name.
Well, I think I'd probably rather have that. So you know what? I'm comfortably on the second best team in Korea that would be fighting for my chance to stay in LCK.
I think you're right. Of course, they have not qualified for the World Championships yet, but considering that Samsung has never beaten KT in a single game.
Oh, here we go. Stand United coming through. Flawless just going to flash up the wall. The Bard ultimate catches Tempt and Flawless, and now ESC is just piling over the exhaust coming through on the Nidalee. Looks like he might still be able to make it out of this one. Kurt Call coming through the taunt, not going to connect, but Flawless still going to go down as Crazy finds the kill. 2 coming in now as Loken picks up a second one onto Nuclear, and they're looking for a third. Lehens, no flash available. Will juke out on the W, actually makes it out with the help from the shield from Sasson. Crazy getting stunned up, has to dash away, but ESC going to come up with 2 crucial kills to take out Flawless and Nuclear.
Yeah, pretty good execution there, actually. Wasn't the best coordination between Ares and Temp to get over that wall, but saved, of course, by Key's Tempered Fate. Just slowing Flawless up right now, and that's pretty huge. Flawless really needed to get going in this early game. He's behind on CS, on a Nidalee, and now he has given up the first kill of the game alongside Nuclear. It's a pretty good start. Flawless does do a little bit of counter jungling, and he sees people coming in, but that was a really good Rek'Sai ult into a Shen. Stand United. Yeah, Bard ultimate is really good. Flash over the wall, same with Key. So they eventually get over, catch Nuclear, who is trying to rotate faster, but again, Curtain Call in the early game with the quick armor penetration, going to be doing 400 damage for Loken to take out Nuclear. So early kills are going to be going over to ESC, and that is fantastic for them.
I mean, that being said, picking up the 2 kills, still not going to net them much of a gold lead, as they're not able to pick up a turret in addition to, but they did get the Cloud Drake, so that's going to help them out a bit in these rotations, help them get that deep vision that they've been already so good at. So far in this game, you can see that that bottom side of the jungle is still very well lit up in their favor, but still just 500 here, so SBENU giving up those 2 kills with the Cloud Drake, not going to be the worst of things, certainly not helping them, but there's definitely potential for them to claw their way back into this game.
Yeah, problem is that, again, they did need the early advantage. Flawless dying doesn't really help power up this Diddley. They are going to just be outscaled by ESC in the late game, and the presence from the Shen with the double globals are going to be problematic for them. At least they have the Trundle to really eat into Shen's tanky statistics. But other than that, low damage is the way forward here for SBENU, especially when they're not able to itemize effectively off the gold lead.
With that kill coming in for Loken, Yobu's completed, has the longsword coming in, so going to be opting into that Duskblade more than likely. There's no real need for a detour into something like a Hexdrinker with just the Karma really going to be the only one pumping out a lot of AP damage, as Flawless has been behind for this entire game so far. So it should be comfortable to go ahead and get that second big armor penetration item before he has to go defensive whatsoever.
Exactly.
He's also had that slight CS lead since about the 8-minute point, so he's been in a decent spot, just keeping ahead of Nuclear, who's actually going to get caught up here by Key as he throws out that ultimate. Arrow comes through, he's going to lock him up, but ESC, they're still looking for this one. Now Aries coming in, Curtain Call coming through, Lehens might just be the final target. He's going to eat all of these bullets. Fourth one not being shot yet. Now they knock up Nuclear on the backside. Lehens body blocks them all, but it's not enough as ESC just piles in with help from Shen coming in with the Stand United. Lehens going to flash over that wall, try to hightail it out of here into the welcoming arms of Sasin. Looks like he will be able to meet him in the jungle and keep him safe. Now trying to trade some damage back on the temple. There's just no way to go for a kill. And ESC off the backside of that play, they're going to net themselves this first brick gold coming through. Looks like they're going to hand it all over to Loken as well. So 650 being piled onto this Jhin, who now has a kill there. Didn't get an assist in on the Nuclear, so it's a little bit of a detriment for him. But overall, picking up that first brick gold is going to be really nice.
Yeah, ESC really looking strong here. Coming in, they basically are just using the Stand United off cooldown and trying to make plays before Soul's teleport comes back up.
Which, here comes Aries now into the mid lane, has the tunnel forward. Sasin going to get caught, flashes away, but they are just pursuing way too closely. Tether not even going to come through, and Tempt is able to finish him off with the Tides of Blood, and ESC just puts another one on the board, now 4-0.
Yeah, SBENU looks like they really have missed their timing window here. They didn't get any of the early kills. The Italy has been controlled, really validating ESC leaving it up, considering that they first picked in Italy and then built the composition around the success of that champion ganking in the lanes, and nothing has come to fruition yet for SBENU. In the meantime, ESC just responding faster, Tempt ghosting down into the bottom lane in conjunction with the Stand United. Nice turret dive there. They didn't even take aggro early as Loken just stayed on the backside with the Curtain Call and sort of just chased Nuclear down.
Yeah, I mean, just Lehen's doing what he could, body blocking all of the shots, but with the wraparound from the rest of ESC, there's just no way to keep that Ashe safe. Just way too immobile. And we can see Nuclear now just opting into that Rudan's Hurricane, so it's not going to be pumping out a lot of damage for a while. SBENU trying to get this push in under the turret, but they're not able to finish it off yet. Curtain Call going to be opened up. Trying to find Flawless, but he's just going to keep hugging that wall. Will dodge out every single bullet, so Loken, not quite the Korean sniper that Arrow or Bray is, will be able to find the hits, and they're going to go ahead and surrender this tower over. They say, you know what, we already got the first tower gold. It's fine, we can let this one go. They're still going to have a 1.7 thousand gold lead over SBENU, so they'll be perfectly fine with that exchange.
I really do think they could have fought that a bit harder and tried to clear out that wave. They certainly could have used the Curtain Call to clear minions instead of actually just going for the shot onto Flawless. Kind of a strange play there from ESC, especially it was a 3 versus 3. They could have made a stronger defense, but no real big mistakes there. Obviously not losing anybody, and ESC, they can afford to give up turrets with their scaling advantage.
So here's the new tally. I like to track things, some fun little statistics. So I'm going to track how many weird plays ESC has throughout the day.
All right.
So far we have 2. We have the really delayed pushing on the Krugs, and now the surrendering of the tower. All right. So we'll see how many we can get to by the end. But Aries sitting in the brush. Ashe Arrow comes out, not going to hit Key even at point blank range. He'll take a bit of damage from that spear. Where ultimate comes through, Stand United there for Crazy, has the taunt still available, is going to be looking for it, finds two as Nuclear flashes out, but Sasson and Hens are just getting melted. Sasson already down key, finds that killing blow, and Loken will be able to snipe out Nuclear yet again. The W not going to connect for the root, but ESC, they just put 2 more kills on the board continuously, now 6-0, and they're going to be looking for a mid tower by the look of it.
ESC is just much faster with their commitments, especially from Crazy. Crazy has been on point with the Stand United this game, so they always seem to have a man advantage when these skirmishes start, and it's easy to get those pickoffs. Plus, SBENU went too far forward. They shot the Ash Arrow. It actually hit Loken, but Loken was underneath the turret, so there was no more follow-up. And that really allowed ESC to turn that fight around, catch them overextended. SBENU needed to back off. They're committing too much. They just need to poke.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a look here. We will see the arrow come out. I mean, it's a smart arrow. They're standing in a pink wall.
I mean, ward down, but
yeah, it hits Loken, but
it's just
they
not
don't
who
hit,
you wanted.
Yeah, they don't hit anybody else. And we do see Flawless right here wrapping around the side, but there's no support. Great taunt flash there from Crazy as he came in, or rather just a taunt, not even a flash.
Yeah, I mean, getting the flash away from Nuclear, crucial in that. So you know what, you can't get him with the taunt, you get him with the, he flashes away, so Summoner spells down, and then you're able to just continue the aggression onto him. And Loken's been lining up the shots pretty decently in this game. So now going to be 2-0 on that Jhin. The Duskblade completed alongside the Yomus. Going to be looking for even more damage as that longsword comes in. We'll see where he wants to go with that one. Got a couple different options if he wants to start opting into something more defensive like that Hex Drinker. Wouldn't be too terribly surprised. But for now, ESC very comfortably ahead. Gold lead's still not massive, 2.6 thousand gold. But SBENU only able to find that single tower in bot lane so far. Otherwise, pretty close to a shutout.
Yeah, there's nobody here either. Soul doesn't want to walk into the bottom side of the map because they're afraid ESC is just going to make a cross-map play with the Stand United, but this probably means that SBENU's going to have to give up this top tower. There's not really a great way for them to defend it.
Yeah, they're already getting pushed back.
Well, they're going to send Sasson down with the teleport, but everybody just too late on the rotation, so ESC bullies their way through the top jungle of SBENU. And nice pressure there around the mini wave. ESC is actually playing pretty well so far in this game.
Yeah, and it's a nice turnaround considering how the game started off for them. Looked like Nuclear and Lehans would have that advantage in the bottom lane, but a big part of this is also Flawless just hasn't seemed to have much presence on the map so far in this game. Hasn't been able to get in and, you know, really set up for any ganks.
Yeah, it hasn't been good, but ESC's been playing cautiously, and really the biggest factor has been Crazy on the Shen with the good ultimates. He has gone for a Tiamat now, so he's got more wave clear. He really wants to split push with this advantage.
ESC just moving in, clearing out that ping. Trying to get this wave moved up as we do have 4 members grouped up around that mid side. Does not look like they're going to be going for the push point yet. Crazy's still pushing bottom. He's going to start peeling back. One for the very early Banshee's Veil as the second item. And the Tiamat already completed here for him as well. So interesting build coming out from Crazy. I like it. Very defensive, but going to have that added power and split pushing with the Tiamat. So.
Yeah, I actually think Crazy, weirdly enough, I think he should just go for offensive items right now. We are going to have Ares be pretty tanky, and with the Trundle in the late game, plus the advantage that ESC already has, plus the fact that it's going to be against a Poppy, I think you could afford to just kind of go nuts with a Titanic Hydra and then maybe an Iceborne or a Trinity Force afterwards and just play the split push game. Why not?
Looks like he will be getting that Titanic next, so it's just a little ways out from that one. He's going to roam back up the top, catch that wave, and then just start splitting in onto that tier 2 in the top side of the map. Void Rush coming through. It's going to be Ares zipping his way down to this bottom side. Going to take a little bit of damage, but overall he's fine. Now working on the Chosen Hourglass, which should have completed pretty soon. Already has that Fiendish Codex in there with the Seeker's Arm Guard. Going to be a bit of a slowdown on the pace here for the game. ESC haven't been able to find any openings in these last couple minutes. Now maybe grouping up around mid. This tower hasn't taken a whole lot of damage, sitting just above 50%. But it would be the last tier 1 for them to break, so ESC definitely going to have their eyes set on this. As Crazy does go ahead and start to split into the top side of the map. Soul going to go meet him, but has the TP available, so should a fight break out, both of these top laners will be able to join in.
Yeah, ESC doesn't have very good siege here. Jin and Vladimir pretty easy to catch out if they start to walk up to a turret to auto attack, so they are going to be more reliant on Ares and Crazy controlling side minion waves to actually get some turret pressure down and apply damage. You see Tempt and Loken playing it pretty conservatively.
Yeah, still just can't find a way in. The wave clear on the side of SBENU is too strong. What with that Rudan's Hurricane and those monster Qs coming in from Sassin. So this is where ESC starts having some issues. And one of the bigger issues that they've had in the past is, you know, closing out games even with early advantages for themselves. So gonna try to have to be proactive as quickly as possible as ESC, or else they could allow for SBENU to start getting their foot in the door.
30 seconds till next dragon though, so no mid lane turret taken for ESC. That would have helped them secure it.
Yeah, just going to be a second Cloud Drake. So that's at the point now where if ESC are able to pick that up, they're going to be zipping around the map pretty damn quick. So SBENU should want to pick that one up. But at the same time, ESC can surrender that Cloud Drake without much consequence.
Well, the Cloud Drake is going to be really nice when it comes to doing things like dodging Ash arrows or split pushing, which is how ESC would prefer to win this game anyway.
Well, it looks like they'll go ahead and start this one out. Flawless not even going to roll over and try to get a random spear steal. So will go down. It's going to be a third Cloud Drake, actually. So these guys will be moving pretty damn fast by the end if ESC is able to pick up all of these. Now Flawless has that CS advantage, but the 5 assists coming in for Ares is going to be more than making up for that gold. You can see very team-oriented build coming in for him. Has that lock into the Iron Solari already completed. Now going to be working towards the team has a warning spell coming in, so it's like a Randuin's Omen coming out for him. So just looking for that team utility and help lock down people so Loken and Tempt can soak up the kill.
Yeah, there's almost no win conditions here for SBENU anymore either. With double lock-in, so much of the poke is going to be negated from SBENU. They can't really win a late game 5v5 with this composition. They don't have the tools to do it. They can't actually win the split push battle, even though they have one more teleport. The double TP on the Shen, plus the Rek'Sai's ability to just push in very quickly with a Cinder Hulk and a Tiamat should trump the Karma being in a lane. It's just looking pretty desperate for SBENU. They played around the lanes really hard. Didn't work. Flawless didn't get rolling. They didn't get an early game advantage, and here we are.
Yeah, that's going to be the Guard ultimate coming out. Only catches nuclear. Good call coming through, but the Ash Arrow will stop that one out as Loken takes that to the face. But the tier 1 and mid does go down. So ESC, they got what they came for. Had to use a couple ulties to make it happen, but in the end, still just going to be profiting from that engagement.
The objective play just so much better from ESC. Tempt did a great job of zoning right there with the Ghost and his pool, making sure that Loken was actually going to be able to safely walk up and go for the mid turret. So it's been a pretty methodical game here from ESC. Good use of the Stand United, good pressure on the turrets, and SBENU has not been dictating the pace of this game at all.
Yeah, I mean, methodical and cautious is really what it's been from ESC. I mean, surrendering that tower in the bottom lane, you know, not wanting to try to stick around for the fight. They probably could have won it and held on to that tower for a bit longer. Just wanting to play more cautiously and not give up any unnecessary kills or advantages over to SBENU. So far things are going to be going nicely for them as they continue to stretch this gold lead further and further. But now again, it comes down to where are they going to move to. It's all the tier 2 standing at this point. Baron, of course, spawned up in the top side of the map. And that's where 30 minutes into this game, we won't be seeing a dragon for a little while longer. So where does ESC go from here while those 2 objectives aren't obtainable?
just continue to push out the side minion waves. That's all you have to do. Very easy for ESC. Eventually, they're going to get the pressure they need to take another turret in this game. Soul has been basically a total non-factor.
Yeah, 0-0-0 across the board, so not being a detriment, but not contributing.
Well, his teleports have been late, and his team has been over-committing to some of these skirmishes when his teleport has been on cooldown. It's crazy having an easy time of it, really.
Hasn't been able to, in the limited engagements that we've seen, because it hasn't been a very bloody, game by any means. You know, haven't been able to see him try to get the back line on top of the Loken and stop him up. He's been reliant on Nuclear's ultimate so far to get the stun in. ESC though, moving back up into this river. Trying to get some vision control over the Baron pit and into the jungle of SBENU. Looks like they'll be successful in that venture. Wards are thrown down in the pit. Looks like it might just be a scrying orb outside. So they don't have unique vision of that side of the river quite just yet, but they're pretty damn close to it. But still, even with the lead, going for a Baron right now might just be a little bit too risky for ESC, so they'll just hold off, keep farming up. The waves pushed up to these tier 2s. And we'll wait. As will we.
We will. We will wait for the Baron bait here.
It's going to be a lot of waiting today. Lord ultimate thrown out. Does find Flawless. They have to follow up. Ares is there trying to find the Burrow, but the flash away from the Nidalee will keep her safe for the time being. And ESC not going to be able to go for much more off the backside of it.
Yeah, got a flash there though, so every little bit counting. ESC only had to invest a single ultimate. Get that ability out, and the pressure's still there. And Soul is still really struggling in this bottom side. Looks like we're going to see a Thorn Mail actually from Crazy.
All right.
See what he goes for as the last item.
Has that one completed. Key coming over. That ward just expired. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they saw Tempt. There's some pings coming out and they're roaming up this way. Ares is not in the pit yet, so maybe they don't think that this is happening. He's just going to sit forward, but ESC taking too much damage, they're going to bail out.
Yeah, really awkward three-man Baron attempt. They were trying to fool them by not using Ares, but the problem is that they don't have a tanky support.
Yeah.
And even though Tempt was regenning off of the Baron, didn't really give them much. So in the end, they actually just sacrificed vision around that Baron, and maybe that third Cloud Drake. Crazy going to leash it right now, but nobody really there to help him. Rek'Sai still up on the top side, checking around the Baron pit.
I'll be able to take this safely, but slowly. It's like Key roaming in. He's going to pull it away just in case. Already level 18, first one in the game to hit this. And I mean, he's just been soaking that, you know, solo experience down in this bottom lane for a considerable amount of time. Has over 20 CS lead over top of Soul. So he's in a pretty good spot. Now 3 Cloud Drakes coming through. Stand United going to be used. Flawless does not have his flash. Should be going down here. Heal comes through, but it's not going to be enough. And Tempt picks up the 7th kill for ESC. And with him dead, that's going to be a very comfortable Baron take by ESC. Not a whole lot that SBENU can do, but they might just have to try to fight this in a do or die attempt here.
No, they shouldn't fight it at all. They just try to push out the lanes and get another turret.
There's
at the
no
moment.
wave in mid, so it's not going to last very long. They have the shields from Karma to try to take them as much as possible, but now they have to hightail it the hell out of there.
Fate.
Temper Fate.
It was actually used at some point, but it was used previously. Missed that. Would have been off screen. It's not going to be an engage right there. And wow, I mean, good pick from ESC. They played that nicely. Made sure they locked down the kill onto Flawless, knowing that he didn't have the flash available. It's been a pretty clean game here from ESC so far. Not much to complain about, but frankly, SBENU it's easy to look this clean when your enemy isn't doing anything.
Yeah, they haven't done a damn thing. I mean, Flawless not able to find the ganks, but the lane's also just not really setting up for them. Even a post level 6 Ashe not trying to set up anything for Flawless with the Ashe arrow. We didn't see any Ashe arrows shot over into the mid lane, trying to find something onto Tempt. So it just seems like SBENU having some struggles executing here in game 1. And if this is going to be any sort of precedent for what's going to happen the rest of this series. We could just have a very swift win by ESC in this first best of 3.
I think SBENU has to ban the Shen. I think they just don't know how to play around Shen, and they need to minimize the number of globals. And that's one of the things that's very hard in this meta, is that if your team doesn't have particularly good communication on patch 6.15, we already saw a big rise in use of globals, of course, even before the tower changes, but they are just so incredibly important at the moment. So if you are a more novice team and you're not paying attention to the coordination that a team who's very good at using globals can enforce upon you, it's not going to end well.
I mean, you think that the Shen pick would have been pretty evident for SBENU because they were the ones that banned away the Gangplank, the biggest counter to this champion right now in the current meta. They banned this one away and they just let this get handed over to Crazy, who has played this Shen a couple times in the regular split.
Yeah, he's played it 6 games.
Yeah, so meanwhile, SBENU, neither Soul nor Mimic have played Gangplank in the Challenger Series. So seems like they just maybe aren't comfortable on that champion, so they decided to ban it away. But with Shen up, it just gives ESC that much more advantage. The global coming through, helping them out immensely.
Yeah, I think you just have to ban both Shen and GP, because you're sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. Well, Sasson getting caught up by that Bard ultimate. Tower going low. First Verdict charged up, but Soul not able to throw it out, so it's going to go into the cooldown reset. Temp getting locked up, has that tethered down, has the flash away. The Ash Arrow catches him. Stand United coming through the shield might be enough to keep him alive. Soul going to go deep and Flawless is actually able to find the kill, but they fire back, take down the Nidalee immediately. Second kill coming through as Nuclear is able to pick off Ares. So far, it's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of SBENU. Stun at the wall now, Crazy dashing forward. A little bit of an odd-looking run through the magical journey. Really wanted to get the hell through that portal. And now the curtain call used by Loken in the end will clear out a bit of the wave, but overall, SBENU able to hold on to that tower in mid, or tower at bottom, but in mid. Super Creeps pushing in, looking for the tower. Won't get too much damage in, but that's a one fight by SBENU. They finally put some kills on the board.
Yeah, it's a first big mistake by ESC this game, and it doesn't really matter because they're 11k ahead. But basically, they shouldn't be autoing this tower until the Super Creeps are in the mid lane, or next to the Nexus, and until we see Crazy hit the tower at the base. So just a little bit overly aggressive. They have a very poor siege composition compared to SBENU, so you take a lot of poke when you do that. You need to just play, again, the split push around the minions. That's why they get caught out a little bit in advance right there. Crazy actually is going to be able to flash away right there, and is knocked sort of into the magical journey by the Trundle Pillar.
Yeah, some odd little interactions there, making him run like he had to go to the bathroom really badly. But all the same, ESC still going to be having a nice lead of 11,000, as you said. It's pretty evident in that fight because you saw how hard SBENU had to fight just to get those kills in, especially on the Temp, who is just continually being kept alive. The shields from both of those lockets into the Stand United. They're able to find him, and Flawless had to pay for it with his life.
Yeah, so they're going to reset now, see if they can actually fight this properly. They should be more patient this time.
Wave's already pushed up to just outside of the base. It's moving back a little bit, but Crazy has the 1-4 going on.
Patience, patience. Just wait for the next wave. Let him get this one.
Yeah, Soul has to roam up top to answer this. So Crazy gonna go ahead and heal back a little bit.
Yeah, it's all about just waiting for the next wave. You still have super minions. Nice job clearing that out.
Well, now Bard has Tempered Fate back up, so Key could just turn off this tower or try to catch some members and burn through the turret as quickly as possible. You can see Temp walking forward, gonna take a bit of damage from Sasson. We'll throw out the Tempered Fate. It's not gonna clip anybody, but it is enough for SBENU to go ahead and heal back, and the tower will fall. So now ESC gonna be looking to push in and try to find this inhibitor. Third call opened up, gonna be looking for Sasson, who takes one. Second's gonna miss. Getting slowed by the Cosmic Binding. Crazy still playing very comfortably up front, has that Thornmail, has that Guardian Angel available, tempting to get stunned up. 1-4 drops down the Hemoplague, so we're gonna find 4 members. Big burst of damage gonna be coming through. That massive heal, chunk it back up to 3/4 HP. Now Nuclear on the run, has those big shields coming through from Sasson, trying to keep them alive, but ESC, they are still just so healthy. And now with the Super Creeps pushing in, they're gonna be looking for these Nexus towers. back up into the mid where the inhibitor has respawned. They'll be able to take this one out. SBENU's base is just going to get shattered here. It's that one tower and the inhibitor standing in top. Those Nexus towers, so ESC just continuing to put on the pressure. Now an Elder Dragon, definitely a big threat. Crazy dashing forward, not going to be able to find anybody with the taunt. Looks like ESC might just be pulling back. Aries sitting in the brush, but he's sitting on a ward. Finally throw out the sweeper, they'll clear it out. They'll be able to peel back, but the ping's coming out on the Elder Dragon. That's 4 dragons for ESC, even though it's the Cloud Drake and an Ocean. That true damage that'll be coming out on the burn to be really hurting SBENU. Aries goes forward, finds a knock up with the Soul. Bar Ultimate not going to connect onto anybody. The root from Jin not going to find anyone either. Stunned into the wall. Crazy going to take a little bit of damage, but still has the Guardian Angel up. Just too tanky to go down as his Soul. ESC going to go ahead yet again and peel back. They have 2 waves of Super Creeps pushing into the base of SBENU. They'll be perfectly safe to take this Elder Dragon.
Yeah, ESC should really be going for the Baron right now and not the Elder Dragon. They should have cut up into the Baron pit instead right as it spawned. Because getting the Elder Dragon first means that you're going to have to get this and then potentially recall. Ares, at the very least, is going to have to recall and use his Void Rush into the tunnels right behind the Baron pit. Bit shaky there. Sure, they get it, but I think you could have just gone Baron, Elder Dragon, recall, and then made the final push instead of this awkwardness, which potentially could have allowed SBENU to rush the Baron.
I think it's okay, just because with the base being shattered, SBENU wouldn't be able to push out that much. And now, if they want to stop this Baron, they have to come in and fight them with the Elder Dragon.
But it does waste the Elder Dragon buff when you actually want to close the game with it. Is the problem? Because only a minute and a half long, so you throw a recall in there without the empowered recall that you get from the Baron, and tack a few more seconds on here or there, and on a short buff, it's already going to be low. But that is nitpicking. They get both anyway.
You just call it an assured victory at Baron with the Elder Dragon, so just insurance for that. But now ESC have a little bit more time on this Elder Dragon buff. They have the Baron.
And Crazy should be in the mid lane right now. He should not be where he is. They don't need to group as 5. They need to push super minion waves.
And mid's already crashing in. Bottom a little bit further out, so you're going to have to wait some time for that one to crash in. But double super creeps now in mid. Tower going down in top. This is going to be the last vestiges of SBENU's base falling as ESC look to close out this first game in under 45 minutes. Nexus turret still up, still fairly healthy. Minions weren't able to get too much damage in, but now with the waves coming in, empowered by Baron as well. ESC looking for that last and final push. He's moving forward, bottom inhibitor. Spawning in a couple minutes, and SBENU just going to be desperately trying to hold on for that to happen. I'm not sure if it's going to be possible now as the wave does move into the mid. This is exactly what ESC has been buying time for. Fight on 3 fronts here for SBENU. Bar Ultimate comes out, Nuclear going to flash away immediately. Ares up the front and takes a little bit of damage. Flawless jumps forward. Going to be knocked down to about half, but a massive shield comes through from Saucin. Will keep him healthy for the rest. Soul getting chunked out. The root from Loken not going to connect, but he's going to open up with the curtain call. Try to find a target, cancels it immediately. And now Lehen's getting jumped on, has to flash away. Loken taken low, has to go back to the fountain, you would think, to try to regenerate. Temp going forward, gets a drop onto the Nuclear, try to burst him out as best as he can. The Stand United coming through. He's going to find the kill in the end. Crazy dashing forward, makes it into the fountain, will take a little bit of damage from the laser beam, but overall he's still going to be perfectly fine. Temp gets locked up, is actually taken out by Flawless, but an answering kill comes through from Loken. Now with the Nexus exposed, too many minions for SBENU to possibly deal with without the Ashe. They're going to take game 1 here in 44.5 minutes.
Guys, measured responses from ESC. They had the Shen, they used the Stand United well, they fought with pretty much man advantages every time, and they had a pretty good scaling edge. So I think SBENU needs to rethink their draft, not potentially going for this Nidalee as a first pick on the blue side, and instead do something a little bit more conventional on patch 615 and not just put so many eggs in the Flawless basket.
Yeah. 10-3 at the end there. So ESC starting things off a little bit oddly, but in the end they come back in. They look pretty convincing, and this was my question coming into this was, what ESC are we going to see? Is it going to be the one that involves Key walking forward, getting repeatedly killed, in the enemy jungle, getting caught out in his own jungle? But it looks like we got the better form of ESC as they come in. They have a victory here in game one, and now they just need one more to close this set out and send SBENU into the losers match later today.
That'd be a big win for them. Sasin doing a lot of poke damage here. He has been the star of this SBENU team for some time.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty damning when you could see that Nuclear on this Ashe did as much damage as Flawless, because it didn't really seem like Flawless was doing a whole lot of anything for the majority of that game. So pretty even between the jungle top and ADC. Sasin trying to carry his team over the finish line, but with the draft, letting that Shen through, didn't have too many opportunities to do so. But looks like we're going to get ready to go to a quick break in a little bit here and a reset for game two. So we'll see what SBENU's going to do as far as that goes, how they're going to adjust their draft, and whether or not we'll get to see Sasin pull out any sort of crazy pick.
Yeah, I think you ban Shen, you ban GP, and that should do it for you. I think if you are SBENU.
We'll see if it's going to be enough. When we come back, we'll have game two, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll see if ESC can close this out nice and clean.